And here we are. We are live, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Bob, and I, your Griot Sensei Bob. Remember, this show is just for entertainment's sake, and I am just, don't take anything I say. Don't believe it, you know. But YaZoos. Who's YaZoos? YaZoos is the guy that the Roman Empire calls, Jesus, right? And he was a Nazarene, right? He didn't come from Nazareth. Like there wasn't like a cul-de-sac over there. No, he was a Nazarene, right? And they're out there. That's why I met Jesus a number of times because whenever you bump into a Nazarene, it's pretty much Jesus. And end of times cometh. Well, they've always been coming. Somebody asked Jesus, so when's the end of times coming? And he goes, hey, that's beyond, that's above my pay grade. Meaning we are put on this earth to experience it, right? Not to heal it or we're here to heal ourselves. We're not here to fight any wrong. We're here to fight the wrongs in us, right? Then to be the example that we can be. People often ask me, so do you regret anything? Well, no, because I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but you do not learn anything unless you make mistakes. Usually, what happens is a good example is our canary in the coal mine. Hey, forever. Haven't seen you in a while. I've kind of misplaced your phone number. Why don't you text it to me or give me a call later in the day? And yeah, in an hour or so sounds good. And our canary was a good example last night. So I was getting into this interesting story about my sensei in Putney, Vermont, right? And right when I was, it took me about an hour and 20 minutes to get there, and as it often does, and I was going to bring the cadre, even though it was small, into, state and go through one of the doors that brings us to, Sensei's humble, right? Where I would introduce you, and Sensei could be, you would have access to that hambu. And JB, the canary in the coal mine, kind of totally blew that out of the water, right? And instead of letting him go on with his laundry list, I basically just ended the show. And instead of getting upset, I kind of thought about it. And I realized what I'm going to do is break things down into a book, a novel. So each of these, I had 40 Days and 40 Nights, and then I had, Window of Opportunity, then I had 18 months for the Window of Opportunity, and now what I'm going to do is, so I'm kind of sat here and thought of, titles, for this, what darkness may come just before midnight, that hour before the devil falls, right? What's the deal with you two? Worship of false gods. Humanity, the mud puppet. Of the imprisonment of love's procreation. I know I've done bad things. I just can't remember them. I have to let go of you now. I wasn't always like this. You know what it's like to feel others' pain? So those are going to be, chapter headings. And I'm going to use the chat as a vehicle for me, to work on my new novel. So my two novels that I've got are going. One is called Cover Page, and the other is Moral Majority. Black Widow in Hot Pants, but that's not the name, but that's the working title. And Cover Page is about what we cover ourselves with that makes us feel comfortable to not do what we're supposed to be doing here, what allows us to lie, cheat, and steal comfortably because it's our cover page. It's like our blankie. My sister, my oldest sister, she had like 6 kids. The first one was, had a real amazing roller coaster life, right? And so it starts off with, my sister, was the good, when I was a kid, in that space that I was in my family's home, like from 7 years old to about 11, 9 really, 7 to 9, is because after 9, I had other grown-ups around me. I had Grandpa Stahl, Mike, Madam Olga Kruger, and a number of other folks who saw a little sparkle in me and, saw it to them that they were going to be the example, Billy Kruger et al., right? So, and those people took a lot of time and space to help me. Where there were a lot of other people, it's like Carl Steinbeck. John Steinbeck was my mom's second cousin, and he came to our house a couple of times. There were other people from my mom's life and my father's life before they got married that kind of, stumbled into our for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners and other things. And everybody else, my brothers and sisters really had no interest or even realization who these people were, whereas because I was I had this stutter when I was a little kid. And it had more to do with energetics and, I had a cleft palate or something. And it shut me up. But it didn't stop. Meaning, I went from, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I use the 2 ears way more. I use my 2 eyes. I use my nose. I use the hair on my skin. To Madame Olga, Kluber, basically gave me the 411 on art, my senses. And she said the most worthless one is, you're talking. You should be able to communicate by example and telepathically. So from 1 until 10, pretty much, I didn't really talk much because I had this stutter, and most people didn't even know I had a stutter because I didn't say anything, and I was really good at blending into the background, and that is still a skill I use. And my listening skill is something that I use for the last 20 years in the corporate world. So that's what I was doing, listening. And part of my stutter was because I didn't realize that the rest of humanity didn't think or feel or understand or see things like I did. I thought everyone did. So I would say things. I remember my parents, cocktail parties, and my parents would kind of bring me out. My brothers and sisters would want, they would hide in the rooms or in the shadows like cockroaches. Whereas I loved wearing my Brooks Brothers suit, and like being like my dad who wore, the colonel uniform. And so, and he wore it whether he was wearing it or not wearing it, right? And so And I would say things like, Daddy, why is that man lying? Or he didn't do, I would say stuff like that. And people would like, how dare you tell the truth? And so that's what kind of got me to stutter, you know. Um, and But that stutter was a good thing because it made me really listen and really integrate all my other senses into a consciousness, my ascending free will consciousness. Right? Instead of being the avatar of the mud puppet or the ugly bag of water, right? And so um, it was, that's how I grew up. And so I had this real interesting path that instead of like, oh, why is it all against me? Why? Oh, the world is like inspired. No, I was like going from one interesting experience, no matter how critical or crazy or nuts it was. I was like, and I was like on the street, as a 6-year-old, I realized don't walk out in the middle of the street, you might get run over, stay closer to the building than the curb, don't do what that little kid just said, scream no, because no one's going to care and get annoyed, and some real crazy person might grab you and just throw you in front of the bus. So I would just watch it, see what was going, and remember these little pictures. That's why I'm a good storyteller. I listened without speaking and create and I integrate things in my consciousness as stories. And that's how come I can tell you guys a good story. And so my whole experience of last night, I realized, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break these things down into littler stories and basically have them as chapters in the novels that I'm working on. And, here we are 12 minutes, and I've told you already a whole bunch of stuff, right? So, and I'm going to try and not do anything at the school anymore because, I don't, you've seen John's, taking over the show, he has to, and so I don't need to, you've seen it enough, I allow it to happen because it's a good primer of the canary in the coal mine and more than I can explain of human dynamic. The canary shows it better than anything, but you've seen it enough. You don't need to see it anymore. And if you do, I will do a show and he will come and hijack it. And he will demonstrate and exemplify that thing that I'm talking about. Meaning, usually what happens is they're talking and then, he knows, well, I shouldn't really interrupt Al, but he'll be watching it upstairs. And the first thing he'll come down and he'll say some potty humor thing and laugh hysterically, and then start talking about something that was kind of about what I was talking about. Meaning, like last night, I was getting into, explaining the Hambu and Putney, Vermont with sunset, and I, illuminated a number of pictures of it to the one where it was a really amazing one where we watched the sunrise with sunset, right? And that, this woman who was one of the major women in my life, she just happened to show up there as the other, meat puppets showed up who thought they were just really amazing. And wow, I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like this head theatric surgeon of blah, 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 and I'm here because I'm so open-minded, I'm going to just hear what this guy has to say. And, I got a grant and I'm getting $25,000 to do this for the next, 3 weeks. And it's like a nice vacation and they're paying me 25, not me. I was there because my colonel sent me, right? Anyway, so when I illuminate that experience of being with Sensei and in his aura, right? And how he got into our, talked telepathically straight into our brains. and then made the party line so Judy could talk into me and I could talk into her. And and Judy was a lot more developed. Meaning she was realizing it, and I could hear you in my head, And they both looked at me like, "Yes, you can." So, um, so John comes down and says, "I have no idea what you were talking about, but I was looking out the window and I saw it." And he starts to try to recreate the story with him as the star, which that's okay because if you look at my stories, I'm not the star. I'm just the observer. I'm the person telling the story. So you know, that's why I'm not going to do this, at the school anymore, right? And why I'm not going to do, at least right now, I'm not going to do, 5 hour ones, maybe. But right now I got to go, right? So here, I want you to all go into state and meditate. I'll be right back. I drank too much coffee. I got it. You pass it on to your family's important. Walk slowly by you. I have a bad day. And your dad, they were close enough distant.
Yeah, they really are. Like they'll stick up for each other. They really care.
Yeah.
They really care.
But they don't have to be together all the time.
No, they're on the drive 20 hours. They're like, no traffic. But they're weird.
That's why they're in Florida. That's why you're in Florida.
I don't need you.
Once a year.
Yeah. And for us, it's really hard. But we all stay protected at school. Yeah. Like apple tree, hearing one first lion. Jonah and the I say we took off for like 2 months because it was like she was like we were not and then I felt like Josh kind of taking out space on me occasionally. Like I would his friends and he would just kind of make fun of me or pick on me. And his friends were so uncomfortable. I think I called him out on it one night and it's just like I can't be around you for to do that. And so then I just stopped for a while. I know. When you're ready to order. For a while. Anyone else, Jeff? Nobody. Me. Yeah, I'm having all that. So I was not. I was 42 years. So then I was like, let's go to 4. Right. I was like, but I don't know. But we did just spend some time this week. And Josh and I, we'll still text and talk. It seems really normal when we see each other, like we can just pick right now. He's 2 months. So it kind of gives me
I like how you got your race cars parked.
Yeah.
So, how was that? Did you guys go into state? Did you meditate? Anyway, so, that's what we're going to do. And what I really love to see is the fact that we only have, 320 something part of the contract. It doesn't really bother me, but I would love to see 1,000. I would love to see that 320. I remember when I was living in Asheville back in the day when it was the most amazing place because there was nobody there except amazing people. Now it's like overpacked. It's like a one of those roach motels. It's like packed with all these hipsters, right? Not doing squat. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of good people there. There's a lot of interesting things happening there. But energetically, it's so sad. It's like the school. It's like the hill. The hill. When Bella and Homer were there. See, when my neighbor's dogs show up, and John gets up, he goes, they're acting like they own the place. The only people who own the hill is the hill. And those dogs are responding to the energetics, not to me. And now I can communicate to them, and they love when I go out there and meditate, they love to sit on either side and just and that's why I kind of, in the novel cover page, is basically the heroes are Love's Co-Creation, which is a multi-dimensional space alien, and my 2 dogs and me. And I am the dumbest one. Even my son Homer, who's like, he's got a little more of an edge than me. Me is me. Anyway, so those dogs come for the hill. John does not have a clue, why the hill wanted him there, because the hill's going, wow, this guy is like the microcosm of the human race. He is the canary in a coal mine. Maybe we can help him. And really, as my mom would say, you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So John does not, John thinks he's the best of this. He's the most amazing director. He's worked harder on any film. He's like blah, 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 blah. And the most important thing is my family, but he won't go and be part of it. The most important, how am I going to blah, 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 blah. Instead of realizing the beauty that's right in front of him. And now he is, John has done a great job fixing up the school. He really has. And what's really amazing is that he's allowed, and this is one of the amazing things of John, is that he's allowed the essence of what motivated Inga and George to build that place, to go on to the second tier of fixing it up, right? And so, because he keeps going, it has to be like really the modern and the perfect this and the perfect that, and what he's really doing is continuing the creative motif, right? And I try to help him every little bit I can. But he just, it's, and the hill is like a puppy dog. It really wants to love you and help you. And it's, kind of, okay, it's been 3 years now John's been up there. And yes, it's fixed the school up. So it's, but it keeps doing little things. Like, all the things that would have, really hurt the school big time. We had issues with water and drainage and all kinds of fixed all that. And, but a good example is, so he had, his stuff everywhere. It's like, again, he's the canary in the coal mine in that he exemplifies human characteristics. And one of the things we do as humans, we constantly put things in our way to obfuscate and keep us from doing what we're supposed to be doing. What did I do? I worked in the corporate world, between 2006 and 2014, and gained 200 pounds. And I had already gained about 80 pounds, hiding in the ivory towers of academia. And so, I was a big boy. I was pushing 500 pounds, and my poor little. And amazingly, my body, didn't, just snap. My knees didn't snap. Yeah, they hurt, and that's what caused me to have neuropathy and diabetes and all the rest of the stuff I got. Right? Those things were given to me as a gift, so I would have to, go back to my athletic self. But I could have stuck with it from, when I was 21 at Putney, Vermont in 1973. And I kind of went in and out and in and out of doing that all these years. So now, after the sixth time I've died, and I talked to my masters on the other side, saying, good, I can come home and just, sit in the lazy boy. And they said, no, you got to go back. And I said, basically, yeah, you can die, you can come back, but you will not be able to escape karma. You will not be able to escape reincarnation. You want to go on to, ascend and not have to do that again, because every time you come back, you can get distracted. And instead of, okay, this is a little plateau, instead of keep going up, you can hit that little poke, So I said, yeah, okay, you're right. Okay. And bang, I came back, and I'm on a, thing being rolled into the operating room where they're going to cut my legs off and rip my organs out. And I said, no. Put me back in the ICU. See that lawyer guy, he's going to, eat you alive if you do this. But I know you, I haven't signed anything saying that you can do this. So they went, they couldn't believe it, because they tried, oh, you're going to die. I said, good, I'll die. I want to die. If I die, A-okay, So they wheeled me back in there. I talked to the lawyer guy, said, I need this. You want me to take care of your problem? If you let these morons do it, you won't see me, and you will be screwed. You do what I'm telling you to do, I'll be, in 3 weeks, I'll be able to fix your problem. You got enough time. So he's a smart guy. Okay, we're going to do what Al said. So now I've had to, hey, Sunray, eke my way back, and here I am talking to you guys. And this is, this, YouTube channel. That's why I'm not so. Oh, you don't make me any. Like when YouTube said, you're amazing. We can make you a star. We can put you on top of the heap. We'll, blah 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 blah. And I said no. And they sent me a check for $20. See, we'll do this. We'll just write this. Put your tracking number in your account and sign this check, and we will put X amount in your account every freaking month or week or whatever you want. And we'll put you on top. We'll make you a star, make you rich. And I said no, because what the bottom line of it was, they said they wanted to own the content. And I wanted, public source, right? Because I know the universe will take care of me. And hey, I had lots of money before. I can have lots of money again. I had a lot of stuff. I can have stuff. I got more stuff. I mean, know what I do with. It's like scattered all over the universe. My real thing is to serve Love's Corporation by helping you all. And one of the things that you all have to do is, in your little neighborhood, you have to start. So I was telling you a little thread of a story. When I was in Asheville, And I was the dude there. And we started all kinds of great things and had parties and experiences that were beyond belief. And I've showed you pictures of it all. And I'll bring out the scrapbook again. But I had a girlfriend. I went to a party, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, you need to go talk to that girl. She really needs a little bit of Al's love." And I said, "Okay." And she was very attractive, and she was dressed as a widow. She was dressed in black and actually had a veil over her face. And I came over and said, "Hey, how you doing? Want a drink?" I brought her a drink. And she goes, "I don't know if I should. I'm on medication." I said, "Hey, you should have 4 of these if you're on medication." And she was looking at me. She goes, "My friend told me about you. You're this guy, right? The dude." I said, "Yes, I'm the dude." Because I didn't call myself. I was the dude, not Al. That's why I have the dude awake. I woke. And so we started talking, and I said, "So why, why are you dressed? Who died?" And she goes, "Well, my soul has died, but my body." I said, "No. Soul never dies." "Oh, but I'm so sad." So you need another drink. You need another drink. You need another drink. To the point where she was like ripped off her clothes and was dancing around and having a great old time. And then we went back to her spot. Back to her spot, and and she wakes up in bed, and she's got me next to her, and she goes, "I never do anything like this." I said, "Oh, sure you don't." Anyway, but hey, wasn't it fun? "Yeah, I feel alive. My soul is back." I said, "Good. And she was a shrink, and that's what killed her soul. I said, "Listen, baby, I have an MS. I'm as much a shrink as you." "Well, I have a PhD." I said, "Good for that." How'd that work out for you? So anyway, I got her back in the show, right? And one of the things, she had worked at the hospital. Right? And so she got to know this guy named Stephen Greer. And he had this house out on the edge of Bunkin and Madison County. And, he had it built by drunks, and it was sunny. But it was like almost a recreation of the Biltmore House, but out of logs. It was a big place. And he had electricity, but it just like, he pushed the, it was like Frankenstein. So he was letting her stay in a little cabin that was on the property before he built this big thing. And he and his old lady used to hang out in the little cabin. And there was a lot of love and sweetness there. And then they thought, "Oh, we have to build a big house, we're making money, blah, blah, blah." So we were there, came and gone. And it was supposed to be a big snowstorm. So I got a ton of food. And the thing about this place was, instead of the power lines coming in through power poles, he paid the extra money to bring the high voltage line into his property and have transformers. So that high voltage line was off the main county line. And the main county line, they do everything to keep that up. Because if that goes down, everybody loses out. If this little, that's okay. So I saw this, and this big snowstorm was heading our way, and I said, "We should, what are we going to do? Just hang out?" And we just had a big snowstorm in Nashville about a year before, where it was like apocalyptic. And so I said, "Wouldn't it be better just to be able to cook? We get a lot of food, and we'll have it." And she loved my cooking, so. And she didn't care that it was sloppy, And in this cabin, it was kind of sloppy to begin with. So anyway, and that was one of the nice things. She didn't have, and she had a lot of her own neuroses, but she didn't quite have all the ones that John had. That can be annoying. And to my mind, it sharpens my mouth. I try not to get annoyed. I try not to raise my voice. I try not to, take the bait. I try to be empathetic, understand, and listen. And yes, after 6 hours of hearing John say the same thing over and over and over and over again, and I try and and he's losing his voice, right? And he's saying that it's his father, aliens, and the dogs that are causing because, and I got sick. I said, John, you have an air conditioner right in the window, right on top of your bed. When you go to sleep, you turn the air conditioner. Yeah, I turn it on full, so it keeps me cool. And then I kind of get under the covers. I said, John, that's why you're getting sick, because you're getting a chill. But I'm covered in covers. I said, no, air conditioning will go right through those covers. I mean, it's designed to do that. And he goes, oh, it's my father. I said, no, John, you're the guy who turned the switch on. Your dad didn't turn the AC on. You know, and he keeps the AC for the whole space, which would keep him cool and not blow right on him. And he keeps it off. So, because every time it goes on, he says, you're costing me money. Look at this electric bill. Because instead of having it in zones, he's, got one gigantic chiller for the whole place. And it, makes condensation. So it puts water. So it goes, you put the condenser right above where one of those bedrooms that ceiling collapsed from the rainwater comes through the complete. But the guy put a little pan to collect the water, but he didn't put a drain, right? And there's a little knockout, punch. You just put a little connector, glue it on, put a piece of PVC going out so the water drains out. And I've been trying for years. I bought all the materials. See, it cost me all of $18. Here, let me do it right. No, don't do it. I'm going to have it moved downstairs. Well, that's going to cost me like 10 grand. That's what I mean. Things, as long as he can keep doing things that make him, confuse his life and make it, then he won't face the real deal of moving forward with his life. He can be comfortable with the misery that he's living, and he creates his own misery, as do we all. I'm a homeless guy. I have no money. I got everything that should kill me, and they almost took the jaw off me because I got, the neuropathy and the diabetes and aplastic, and no disease is the same for everybody. At times there's a little, milkshake different for everybody, and so I got this nasty infection in my teeth because I didn't have the money to take care of them. And I went and I said, oh, we have to cut your jaw off. And I said, what? No. And so I kind of tried to, do my little shamanic thing, and it did a little better. But then I had to go to the, methamphetamine dentist who works on guys who, have no teeth. And he was the perfect guy, because he took out the one tooth that was really super infected, and he had his own version of jungle juice antibiotics. And he drilled a little hole into my bone and put a pipe there and sat me there on this, and I could feel it going in. No, I'm good. A little more. Oh, you know what I'd love? You gave me my check already. It's right here.
Oh, okay.
That's all right. What I'd love is a hot coffee to go and a glass of ice to go.
Okay.
Thank you, Megan.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's like looking through all these pictures. She gave me the check already. So. And that's what she's distracted. And that's what all of these, the TV show The Walking Dead, it's already here. Let's look at this place. So, I had, and about a year and a half ago, I had an infection in my leg where they wanted to chop my leg off. And I had to go in the emergency room myself and go through the tools, find it, and take care of it for myself. Only because I injured myself to the head person in the emergency room, that she let me do it, because the rest of the people in that place were incompetent, to the point of this one nurse tried to take, I had a IV, and she put the blood, pressure cup on top of the IV, and anyway, instead of letting, most people go, oh, they know what they're doing, and they crush the IV into the artery, and then it would snap the artery open, and you would bleed out right there. No, I kind of ripped the hoses out of the machine and kicked it over and pushed her away and took the cup off, and I said, what are you doing? And it was like right in the middle of the ER. And she went like, oh, I'm sorry. And she first tried, said, I'm the registered nurse. I said, you are a dead person. You are the walking dead. Get away from me. And that's when the head doctor of the ER came over to me because I've been wanting to do that with that girl, but I can't. Thank you very much. I hope she resigns. Right? Because that girl has almost killed 100 people. I said, why did you get this? She can't because she comes from LU, and the guy on the board is, giving this hospital money so that they can dump all their nursing students in here and advertise that they get them a job, right? Because they're so incompetent, they'd never go anywhere other than here. Anyway, and that's how this whole unbelievable movie is playing out right in front of our eyes, And everyone is like John Birmingham, And the aliens and his father and the dogs are not in a. They keep saying, and you're terrible. You're like, you're in, this. You're in it with my parents, and it's like, John, I met your parents about 6 different times for all of them about 12 hours over the last 3 years. I don't think so. We don't go down to the secret, undisclosed place underground and make plans on how to make your life miserable. You do it very well, And I try to explain to him, but he's got, I'm going to take care of but I try to explain to him that you don't have to get even. You don't have to, hate people or because he doesn't hate people. He's a sweet guy. But he's that Libra that does this. And when he goes like this, wow, he's off the hook. But whenever I can get him here, he's his sweet self. And that's when he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll never do that again. And then 20 minutes later, he's doing it again. And I've gotten to the point where I actually, get this. And because he does it to me, he's like, look, he can't talk to me without doing this, right? So, I just, and I just kind of like, I capture him doing, that 20-minute thing. I promise I'll never do this again. And then he kind of goes, thank you, dear. Goes into it. And then I kind of play it back to him and he runs away saying, oh, you're a terrible person. Oh. And, but John isn't, individually, he is the microcosm. He is the canary in the coal mine. And the universe will put us together so I can, sharpen my sensei Alba wits and become more and more and more that empathetic servant to love's co-creation, right? And because back in the day when I was a corporate guy, I was so sweet and nice to everybody, but I was like Tweety Bird. You remember Tweety Bird? He don't know me too well, do he? I was kind of like, when I was little, I was like the Roadrunner. A Roadrunner never says anything. He just goes beep, beep, zing. And those two characters, and I'm an owl. I'm a bird character, right? and Chinese astrology, I'm a dragon. Dragons fly. Anyway, so spending all this time, and I don't spend, once John started throwing me out, I realized, and then I'd have these adventures. Again, instead of like, oh, what am I getting? Like, being in the fetal position in my car and dying, I went off and got to do another adventure, until the point that John, the adventure would kind of look like, okay, this is ending, and I would get a phone call. Like, I remember one time I was out in the middle of the national park. My phone should not have been able to pick up anything. But it rings, and I go, look at it, and it's John. And I hit his, where have you been? I thought you were dead. I sent you a million texts. And I said, John, what's up? I said, oh, please come back. I'm so sorry. I'll never do that. You'll never do that. You can see it for the rest of eternity. Oh, I need you. Please come back. And the little adventure that I was on was coming to an end. I said, okay, John, it's now Friday. I'll be there Sunday, okay? And I'm coming, so I want to be able to stay there. I'm 200 miles away. I have no money. I'm gonna take whatever little money I have and come there. And pretty much every time I come see John, it is kind of like that. I use the last of my money to get there. I use the last of my money because I realize he hasn't been eating anything but yodels and Mountain Dew, and he's talking about being a vegan and how healthy he is. And and he came down with this big box of chocolate. And I said, "Here, why don't you have some of this?" And that's like poison. It's like he's known me now for almost 3 years, and chocolate, and it's got nuts, and I have no teeth. It's like, okay, John, thanks. And I just had all my, at least 8 of my teeth ripped out, so my gums are still pretty raw. And the hardest thing I can eat, I'm getting to the place where I can. I made him. His mother gave him some steaks, and they were really good. So I cooked them up really good. He needed some protein. He said, I can't eat meat, can't eat meat. I made him. He took one little. He ate all of them. He ate enough steak for 4 people. And I had 2 little pieces because I can't chew them. So I kind of put them in my mouth, and I just, masticate it, meaning I let the chemicals in my mouth break the meat down. So I kind of sat on it for a good 10 minutes, one little chunk of steak. And it was really tasty. I cooked it just right. And that's why he was And I make him these really culinary, stuff flying out. This is amazing. This is amazing. And instead of me, I'm like got one little chunk of steak in my mouth. I'm just like, Anyway, back to the other story of my shrinky girlfriend. So we got snowed in that cabin. And because we were on the main line, we didn't lose electricity. So we had a lot of firewood. We had a nice fireplace. He had put electric heating and electric stove, and we had big stainless steel refrigerator, and we had water. The well was didn't freeze. Toilet, water, hot shower, a jacuzzi in a really 100-year-old cabin. It was like you couldn't have nicer things. And we spent almost 2 weeks there. And after that snowstorm, spring hit, and within 2 days, everything moved. Right? Yes, they had a big flood in the townships, and French Broad was blowing away the little towns along the river, and Asheville got kind of flooded out by the railroad. But we were happy in our little loved ones. So she was have enough sex, that'll cure anything. So we went back. I had my beautiful little rent-controlled apartment, and she had her little house. And we had a nice little time. And so she was getting into all these things, and I was already into things. So she went from one kind of new age thing to the next. And I was hanging out with old black Indian shamans up in the mountains. And she was there was this character named Ganga Chi, white girl who's spreading enlightenment of India, right? And she kept, and so she had, and they would send out VCRs tapes to the enlightened ones, and you had to pay $35 per tape. And she had this little club of other girlfriends, and every Wednesday the tape would show up, and they would Thursday night they would come and watch these. And so out of that, she grew a kind of church of Gangaji. And I had a friend of mine, Howard Hanger, who was the Hugh Hefner of Baptists. And he had this church that was a party. It was the grotto was downstairs. And he had bought a burnt out, Gilded Age house in the Biltmore neck of the woods. And, half of it was still pristine. The other half was a burnt cinder. And I helped him clean it up and fix it up. And so he was great. And he helped everyone in need. Every other church, we can't help that. Those people aren't our religion. All those people are terrible. All those people are this guy, drug. There are a lot of drug problems. There are a lot of gang problems. There are and there's a lot of prostitution there. and the people who was, paying, giving, making prostitution there were the judges, all of the Baptist ministers, all of the, it was the most hypocritical town there ever was, and that's because it was from the beginning and is still now. So anyway, my girlfriend was becoming super duper new age, right? And so um, she's got enough people sending the money to where they said, we're going to go to Charlotte and then we're going to go over to here. We're going to go right through kind of by your neighborhood. We can get enough crowd to pay $45 a head. We will come and visit you. So she says, can you get Howard to let us borrow his church? And I said, sure. I said, hey, Howard. He goes, okay, this is the deal. I bought this place, and it wasn't a church. It was in Asheville. There's a street called Wall Street, which was there are a lot of things. There's Lexington, Broadway, Wall Street. These were all, they built them like New York City. There were all these New Yorkers there wanting to feel comfy. And Wall Street it's this narrow thing with these tall buildings, so it's just like Wall Street. So he had a 3-story building that the front was towards Patton Avenue, and the back door was off of Wall Street, and he switched around. His front door became that back door. So, and it went into a vestibule that went into a big lobbyish kind of a whole floor. And he turned that, you could stick a good 300 people into this space. And he had folding chairs, or he basically had people sit on the floor. But he was he's a Baptist, he was a Lutheran, he was whatever flavor Christian you were. And but he was more or less about what, every day he would go there and have people assist people with whatever problem they had, whether they had to figure out how to pay their electric bill or the divorce or their kids or whatever, right? He was there to serve, even though he was a party animal. So, and everyone just talked about his party animal, but he did it out front. That was his church. Whereas the ministers who were all like this were, doing depraved acts with children in the back room. So anyway, so I go, Howard, so my girlfriend wants to bring gangaji. Who's that? And I said, some new age thing. And he goes, sure. But he goes, listen, I got this place, 4 years ago. I haven't done anything with it, right? I got some serious electric problems. You keep telling me about. You fix those. We have no exit lights. We have no emergency light. We have no this. You get those clowns to help you fix this place up, paint it, fix everything that needs to be fixing. Have them pay, Larry of the HVAC company come in and get my HVAC working, so there'll be some heat here where they're ascended master. And why don't you're a theater guy, have them build a platform that can be kind of like a church. It's just a flat floor here. So I said, yeah, not a problem. So I said, sure, honey. Not going to cost. What's it going to cost? Not a thing. What? Oh my God, honey, you're so great. But we have to clean it up for gangaji, right? It has to be. And I took her in there. It was like this dingy green. The last time it was painted was like 1943. And oh yes, we're going to paint this and we're going to do this. And I just kind of. I said, and give me. So the boys who were part of this, who were somewhat handy, I had them running pipe and fixing the electrical problems as I was. No, don't touch that light. Don't say, I told you not touch that light. Anyway, day comes. The place is like gleaming. It's beautiful. Howard is so happy. So, the limos pull up, and out comes, and everyone's sitting on the floor cross-legged, and I built this beautiful stage that you can come up and there's this big wooden chair from Howard's house, and it's got all these pillows, and we got all these tables with flowers and things to eat. And there's a green room back there. Howard wanted a green room. And back there was beautiful couches and great air conditioning and heating and lighting and lots of food back there. And he has his own little, bar there. And I had the cabinet guy who was the gangaji promoter, there. And so anyway, I'm like, and all the head honchos are sitting up front in their like colored saffron robes, and they're sitting on pillows, and they're, like good little dogs, waiting to be petted on the head. And she comes in, goes to the green room, comes out, and walks up amongst everyone and goes up on the podium and sits in her chair, and she looks around, and there's all these happy looking faces, and she's looking around, and then she like stops right at me and looks down at me, and she goes, "Al, Al, is that you? Al, 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 is that you? Al, where have you been? Al, Al." And everyone's like shocked because I've never been a Ganga G. I didn't watch the videos. I'm just trying to keep my girlfriend happy, and and help my friend Howard clean up his building. And I look at her and I go, Tammy, is that you? And who is Ganga G but this woman who was a barfly / waitress at a truck stop in West Virginia that I lived in back in 1972. And when I say lived, like, I was there maybe for a couple of weeks. And because it was in Morgantown, West Virginia. I had a bud who was going to school there, and I would go visit, and then I kind of stayed there for a couple of weeks, and I, kind of hooked up with Tammy, but we never hooked up. We just became buddies, and he liked the fact that I wasn't after her carnally, that I liked her for who Tammy was, because she was a trailer trash girl, no education whatsoever, but she was smart and had this interesting connect to the higher planes, right? Because her great grandma came from Ireland and was, basically a crone, and her grandma skipped, was like a woman of the woods, and Tammy got into it, right? So she goes, "Oh, ow." And so I get up and walk and give her a hug, and everyone's in shock. Here's the celestial master who's hugging, and her name is Tammy, not Ganga G. So she goes, "Come on, let's, I got all this food over here." I said, "Yeah, I know." So we go in the green room, close the door, and we spend an hour in there telling stories, how she got to be Ganga G, and how she ended up in India, and how she da-da-da-da-da-da. And, I kind of gave her the thumb drive of what I was doing, and she goes, "We got to stay in touch." And then her obvious handler comes in style. He almost looked like he was part of the CIA. He had a really nice suit, and he had these glasses that would change color. So he goes, "Ganga G, we have to leave." And, okay. And she goes, "I gotta go." And so she gives me a book. It was, "Bob, give me one of the books." And she writes in the book, "To my best of best friends, Al, who saved me, who got me on the path to be Ganga G. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be her. Love you." And it is this, she gives me her business card that only that's her like little private phone number. Call me, we can talk some more. And so they went out the back door. She didn't even go out and say goodbye to the crowd. They were sitting there waiting for an hour and a half. And then I walked out. "She's gone. See ya." And I walked out. And I went out the back, the front door, which is the back door of Howard's place. And I let the people there like, and I went back to my place. And about an hour later, it was like a crowd with like pitchforks and burning torches. Like, what did I do to Ganga G? I'm the evilest evil guy. I can't, and I said, "You guys, you got been played." That girl was, now she's everything she says she is. But look at the people who drove her here. And you should learn from this. Learn that don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't believe in anything. Just have faith in your love. I mean, why are you so drawn to Ganga G? Because she emits this unconditional love. Now, guys, you here today, I bet you if you go on Google or YouTube and put in Ganga Chi, she will, it'll pop up because that was a business plan that no one was going to give up. Anyway, so that's the story of that's a story of Ganga Chi and Al. And I could have gone a lot deeper, but I didn't. But my girlfriend, she didn't get rid of me because she moved on to the next thing. And the next thing was, the guy from not Thailand. What's that place up in the mountains between India and China, Tibet? And there's the Dalai Lama, right? So she got into that. That was the next thing she got into, and she got totally whack on that, and she was sending them money, and started a little, again, that same crew who were for Ganga Chi were now all going through Tibet, right? And so there were enough people that the Tibetan guys sent monks to do sand paintings and blow their big horns in Asheville. So again, she couldn't sit those 8 Tibetan chubby monks into her little house. So and my rent-controlled apartment wasn't that much bigger. Yes, it was 2-bedroom. I mean, it was way bigger than hers, but not maybe 4 roly-poly monks. But Howard put them up in his big mansion, and they loved Howard. Did they ever love Howard? Anyway, during the day when they weren't like on tour, she would stick them with me to because they couldn't speak English. I mean, this one did, and they had their handler, and it was just like the same kind of guy that was handling Ganga Chi was this guy. And he was straight up CIA, couldn't believe it, Anyway, so, and at a certain point, he realized he didn't have to handle these guys, so he left. He left town. He went to wherever those guys go, and basically left these 8 roly-poly saffron monks with me. And these guys, we're hounds, right? So, the first day they're there with me and no handler and nobody. I go, so guys, what do you want to do for the next few hours? And they all kind of look at each other and go, McDonald's. And they start chanting it just like Donald Trump's, send her back, lock her up. I go, McDonald's. No problem. Let's go to McDonald's. So there's this one McDonald's that's in the Biltmore. That's built like the Biltmore house, right? And I go in there, and who's there but this friend of mine who's the main photographer for the Asheville Citizen Times. Right? Hey, Barry, how you doing, buddy? Oh, so it's me, Barry, and the 8 roly-poly monks, and they each get like 7 Big Macs, and they got the secret sauce all over the place, and they got cheeseburgers stuck to their head. They're just chowing down, and French fries coming out their ears. Anyway, so Barry goes, this is too much. So he takes out his little camera, and they start mugging for the camera. Like these guys knew what selfies were before. This is 1993. And so they're like, mugging it up. And by 93, Asheville was still a dead town. They were looking for stuff. So they put on the front page of the Citizen Times these pictures of these guys, these, Buddhist guys with cheeseburgers, and, they're supposed to be vegetarians, and she was making sure that they were having vegetarian meals, and they hated being vegetarian. They wanted cheeseburgers and grease, right? And, they weren't supposed to drink milkshakes, but they had like 6 of them, and they were like, they were just, so it was like a total war zone of consumed fast food. And that was a picture on, and when I said, Barry, you just took a lot of pictures, make sure that I'm not in any of them, right? And I handed him their printed out thing about who they are, what they are, where they come from, what they believe in, and the sacredness of everybody, and how they're vegetarians. And so this will be fun. Just take that. That's theirs. That's like their press release. Go for it. And so that comes out, and again, the guys are still there, but now they're like, the CIA guy has come, and he brought a kind of RV, and these guys could not be allowed to be out on their own. If they weren't making the champagne or blowing the horns, they had to stay in the RV. 8 guys in a little RV, not too comfortable. And they were always like looking like this. And every time I saw them, which wasn't too often after that, they stuck around another week or two, and they were like, "Oh, it's Al! Please, Al, get us out of here. Let's go to McDonald's." I said, "All right, boys." But the next day, when that paper came out, again that afternoon, I was in my, they were, my girlfriend and the other same people who were Gangaji Luddites were now, Fat Boy Luddites, and they had the burning tiki torches and the pitchforks. And that still wasn't enough for her to leave me, right? And I got to a point where I was saying, okay, I'm going to see what do I have to do to really start a thermonuclear war with this woman, Anyway, but I won't go there. I divert. So, what I told you that story about was that you don't have to get even with people. You don't have to be, and I wasn't even being mean. I was just being myself. And that's kind of what happens. I either find that woman in my life that, I stay with until things change and we kind of go our separate ways, or something happens and we're separated. But most of the women who find me to be their savior. Oh, he's got to fix me. This will, or I'll fix him, and that's the reason for me to be here. And that's not the way it works, And so, a good deal of the women in my life have left in this kind of the sorting, separation of the chaff from the wheat. But I still have one more Mrs. Howell left in me, right? And I've had, like, the other day, I met somebody, and she's like an old retentive scientist from Blacksburg, and it was really hot, and she came to Roanoke to do something, and she had like, 5 hours to kill, and she couldn't go back to her place in Blacksburg because she had to do something else in Roanoke 6 hours from now. And it was about 12:30, and it was really hot. We were in a store that was air conditioned, but big window, and the sun was like, whoa, this is hot. So I said, hey, you want to go to the movies? It's just around the corner. We were in a shopping mall, the movie place was back there. Anyway, so we went in and we watched the movies. We went into this one. Have any of you guys been to movies lately? They make you watch 40 minutes of mind-controlled commercials, right? And they're always baiting them. And now for your movie. And then they do another 6 commercials. And now, thanks for being part of AMC's. And now, be quiet, turn off your phone. And now the movie. And then another 6 commercials. And they're all, at the target audience. I was in this place and it was all these commercials for kids. I should have known I walked in the wrong movie theater. It was for, Toy Story 4. I thought it was for Spider-Man. Anyway, and I wanted to watch the beginning. So I put myself through. I said, it says it's supposed to start any minute now. Anyway, that was before I brought this girl there. I'm just talking about what movie theaters are today. Yep, the show, the election theater. Yep. So, so I go and said, "Come on, let's go to the movies." So we buy our ticket, and again, it's like, I say, It means, so we walk. It's like 18 little theaters in this big theater, and so we're walking down the hallway, and we're gonna go see Spider-Man, but the whatchamacallit, Men in Black. Oh, look, let's go in there. She goes, we can't go in there. I said, sure we can. You want to sit and watch commercials for 40 minutes? And I kind of open up the door, and it's the Men in Black thing has just started, meaning it's maybe been running for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So we go in there, and we watch the whole Men in Black rest of that movie, and we come out, and we walk in across the hallway into the theater of Spider-Man, and it was just, just getting the, almost starting, but it was showing the things coming, previews. So we watched that, and we watched that movie, and it's like, when we get out of there, we went in around 12:30, and we coming out about 4. It still has another 2 hours to kill. So we're walking down the hallway, and the Avengers, that came out, 4 months ago. It's still playing. I said, hey, I hadn't seen this movie. Let's go in there. We go in there, and we watch like the best 30 minutes of the movie. You didn't have to watch this part, you didn't have to watch, but this was the best part. Anyway, so we come out, and we don't even walk through the lobby. We walk out, and in that theater, we walk out the fire escape, and they don't have alarms on, right? So we walk out, and my car is parked right there. Instead of having to walk all the way around, it's right there. We get in, and she still has like an hour to kill. And I said, have you ever had a cocktail? And she goes, what's that? I said, it's an alcoholic beverage with lots of different things in it. And right there, there's a Holiday Inn. And it was like, it used to be the place, right? A place called the Elephant Bar. It was like had a disco and this and that. And that's where everybody went to hotels. And the bartender who was king of that was still there. And he starts at about 4. So it's about 4:45, and again, it's in this shopping mall. So we go over there, we go in there. And what's beautiful about this Holiday Inn, they have a really nice pool in the middle of this courtyard that no one can see. And so I say, hey, B, we'll have 2 long iced teas. And he goes, fine. So, so we're going to go sit by the pool. So they have these colored plastic cups that they, instead of putting in glass cup, they put it in that, which is like a ticket for you to be able to go out to the pool. So for the cost, most people get to go to that pool if they're staying there. That costs $200. For the cost of and it was happy hour, so we got a styrofoam plate of wings and our cocktails. And we go out there and we're sitting by the pool. I just have my little shorts on and this shirt, and the sun is going down enough so it's not beaming on us. And I take it off and I walk down these beautiful stairs and I'm starting swimming around. And she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm swimming." I said, "Come over here." And I get up and I drag a seat over and I sit her down and I take off her shoes and I put her feet in cold water and I start massaging her feet. And she's almost in orgasm. And she goes, "This has been the best day of my life. I did everything that I've never, ever done. I did everything that I thought I could never do. I always had to do, And I said, "Baby, that's what life's about, doing the things you think you shouldn't do. How are we going to learn?" And she almost starts to cry. I said, "Why don't you take your dress off and just come in? I'm in my underpants. Why don't you jump in the pool?" She goes, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm not ready to do that." I'd love to do that, but I can't do that. And I said, "Okay, not a problem." So I keep rubbing her feet. And I said, "Well, you're going to turn into a pumpkin. You got about an hour to get from where we got to go." And she goes, "I want to see you again." I said, "I want to see you again. I like you a lot, You're really attractive." And she totally dresses down, but she is a college, she is a scientist. She's not supposed to look hot. But she's not, movie star hot, but she's, for who she and what she is, she's a very attractive woman. She's 27 years old. She's accomplished a great deal. And she's really brilliant, smart. And that's the kind of women I like. So anyway, I'm going to see her in a few hours from now. I said, this place is having a benefit for homeless people because the government is cutting all the benefits. They are. And so it's going to be a band. It's going to be outdoors. It's going to be other cocktails, and maybe we'll go to and B will be on. Maybe we can go to the Holiday Inn and get a room. And so that's how life rolls. It should roll. I don't expect this woman to be, no, but she's really attractive. She's really smart. She's actually loads of fun because I give her the opportunity, the permission to go do stuff like go into 3 different movies right after each other and watch them and just have a good time. I just had so much fun after being with the canary for the last 3 years, where he just torments, my father's doing this to me. No, John, you're doing this to me yourself. So, and she was a person who kind of tormented. She let the situation that she was in. I said, so we'll see if she shows up to this event. It'll be really easy for her because she said she had to come back Saturday to continue what she was doing. And I said the thing starts at 6. She will probably come with me around 5:30, 4 or 5. And I said, well, I'll be there by 5:30. And I'll wait. And it's supposed to go on until 8, 9 o'clock. I'll stay there until dark 30. So I'll wait around. I'll be there. You won't be able to miss me. Colored. I put on a flashy shirt and my white beard, and I got a big hat that I'm going to wear. So, and that's what life's about, So, the crowd had diminished, and now it's coming back. So I think I'm going to go. So, I'm going to go run some errands, and then I'm going to head to the library and see if my friend Robert is there. Maybe we'll do a little show from there. Let's see what you guys have been saying. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Are you familiar with Bob Lazar? I know Bob Lazar, out there in Nevada. Yeah, Mr. Area 51. Yep. And everything he says, Bob is straight up right. He's totally right? And right in that the only reason he's alive, they want him to see all that stuff. That's the one thing that Bob, I tried to tell him. Listen, Bob, they let you see all that stuff. They wrote the script for you to be the hero of the movie. You were a boring kid, and they knew that you would take the bait like a sucker. And that's the kind of fish that always has its mouth ready for the hook. And so, yes, everything Bob says is true. And Bob is 100% Bob. Bob is he's a Bob, right? And his last name is Lazar, Lazar, the head of the house. Anyway, can you do a 2020 special Graham Dublin Island? Yeah, I think I can. Howdy. 2020 like the show of the election. Yes, it is a show. Yes. What can I say? But let's look at this last week. Everything is scripted. You couldn't have it anymore. I'm sure there was a big electric sign over, Donnie's head flashing. Send her home or whatever whatever. Just like they had to lock her up. It's like this. If this is a scripted. Donald Trump still thinks he's on the set of The Apprentice. You're fired. Look how many people he's fired. He's fired more people than any other administration under the friggin' sun. And they have everybody who hasn't gotten fired are the creepiest. Who's the bald-headed guy who's making sure the kids are in cages on the border? All the and look at his guy who is got the pedophile out of jail in Florida 10 years ago. All of these, the worst of the worst, keep staying there. I don't think they can fire Mike Pence, but if he isn't Donald Trump in Hunger Games, I don't know who is. And that's why they got him. They got him on the on the edge of the set, so he can take that position. So that's pretty much it. Meaning, if what's his name? If the Democrats pick Joe Biden to run against Donnie's going to win. It was just like meaning if they back in 2016. Bernie's time to be president. He won California, but the Democrats, there's something somebody should go to. You forget Russian collusion. It was taking the Dem, leadership away from Bernie. That's what the people wanted. They wanted Bernie, and that's why they picked. So what did they put the one person that could lose to Donald Trump, and that was Hillary Clinton. Everyone hated her, right? And she would just, she did everything wrong. She called, 30% of the electorate, deplorable, a basket of deplorables. So she, you don't understand. Madonna goes, it's rigged. He's right. The electoral college is the rigging, meaning it doesn't matter who votes, because there's only 17 states that are switched. All the ones that Donnie won the electoral votes by like 70,000 votes, and that's forget the Russian bots. You know, the hidden hand can manipulate 500,000 votes in any state. So it's pretty easy to get Donnie elected by the Electoral College when you can, in any state, they can manipulate 500,000 votes, and it only took 70,000 in each of those states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, the 17. And that's how it works, and why we never have somebody and if we ever get anybody close to somebody who's going to do a good job, they end up with a bullet in their head. Or Donnie, the beauty of Donnie is through, the ghost in the machine and the unexpected consequences, he has done some pretty good things and deplorable things. But the deplorable things are good because he is so in the face, of what he does that he ends up, doing. I mean, the stuff that he's doing is going to have a positive outcome, or create the third world nuclear war, and then the aliens will have to come down and stop it, because the fact that we're still here means there's a higher power involved. My waitress keeps coming by, glaring at me that I haven't put down the money to pay the bill. So let's give her a semi-good tip. Oh, that's. Do I have any more ones? Nope, that's it. That's what she gets. See, my wallet is like loaves and the fishes. I remember putting 120 in there, and there's 4 of them. Anyway, so I'm gonna say goodbye, so my waitress doesn't have to glare at me anymore, and everything's paid for. I got my coffees to go. I got things to do. It's 10:26, so I'm gonna try and get a hold of you guys again around 2 p.m. Okay, see where I'm at. Love you guys. Remember to meditate, pray, and always serve love's co-creation. Right? Okay, love you guys.